In this video, we're going to share with you guys all the Mission 1 Pro real-world footage and also compare the dynamic range and low-light capabilities with the older GoPro generations. So let's get started. I'm a filmmaker based in Taiwan and I spend my own time and money to make this video happen. So if you think this video is useful, press the subscribe button to send some love and support. Thanks. These are the GoPro lab settings. Left side is Mission 1 Pro, right side GoPro 12. EXPT, the maximum shutter angle should be 90 degrees. The wide settings is going to extend the color space. It's more like a Rec 2020. The noise reduction 0.1 set to 1. Basically turn off the in-camera noise reduction. BITR will be the bitrate. This is like the most important part. So 350 megabit per second on the Mission 1 Pro, 200 megabit on the GoPro 12. Feel free to copy it if you want to. Closest focusing distance is pretty much the same on both of the camera. It's around 60 centimeters. If you go below 60 centimeters, but the Mission 1 Pro has a bigger sensor, shallower depth of field. So the Mission 1 Pro will look slightly blurrier under 60 centimeters. In the dynamic range test, we set both of the camera at ISO 100 and we manual control the shutter speed to overexpose and underexpose the image. And we pull all the information back in the post-production software to see how good they can retain the highlight information and the shadow information. Using color flat color profile on both of the cameras shooting 4K 30 frames per second. Overexpose 1 stop, GoPro 12 is already clipping the image. Overexpose 2 stop, the Mission 1 Pro will also clip the highlight, and this is overexpose 3 stop just for fun. So underexpose 1 stop looks pretty good. Underexpose 2 stop, nothing crazy happened. Underexpose 3 stop, the GoPro 12 shadow part will be a little bit noisy, but you can easily clean it up with some basic noise reduction. But under 4 stop, GoPro 12 shadow part just fall apart. Under 5 stop, the Mission 1 Pro start to have some blocky shadow artifact and also some magenta color shift in the shadow part on the Mission 1 Pro. Next, the only changes will be the resolution. At 8K on the Mission 1 Pro, 5.3K on the GoPro 12, you can see some dramatically change on the image using max out resolution. Under 5 stop, both of the camera are totally unusable. Under 4 stop, still unusable. Under 3 stop, still unusable. Under 2 stop, both of the camera are kind of usable. After applying some noise reduction in post, -1 stop looks pretty good on both of the camera without any noise reduction. Overexpose 1 stop, GoPro 12 is already clipping the highlight. Over 2 stop of light, the Mission 1 Pro also clipped the highlight. This is overexposed 3 stops just for fun. Next, we're going to test the dynamic range with hybrid log gamma 4K 30 frames per second on the Mission 1 Pro. Why no GoPro 12? Because if we set hybrid log gamma on GoPro 12, none of the exposure we can set it manually. No ISO, no shutter speed, no EV control. So it's basically useless information in this test. Okay, overexposed 3 stop is clipping. Overexposed 2 stop slightly clipping the highlight. Overexposed 1 stop looks perfect. Underexposed 1 stop, underexposed 2 stop, underexposed 3 stop, underexposed 4 stop, the shadow is a little bit clipping. Underexposed 5 stop, everything just fall apart. Next, hybrid log gamma with 8K 30 frames per second. Max resolution on the Mission 1 Pro. Underexposed 5 stop looks terrible. 4 stop, 3 stop, 2 stop, underexposed 1 stop. If we add some noise reduction in post, it's kind of usable. This is 0 EV. 1 stop overexposed. Overexposed 2 stop. The highlight is already clipping. This is overexposed 3 stop just for fun. Next, we're going to test the GPLog on GoPro 12 and GPLog2 on Mission 1 Pro. Both of them are shooting 4K 30 frames per second. The overexposed 3 stop, both of them are clipping. Overexposed 2 stop, both of them are clipping. Overexposed 1 stop, Mission 1 Pro have all the highlight details, but the GoPro 12 is still clipping. This is 0 EV. Underexposed 1 stop, looks good. Underexposed 2 stop, the GoPro 12 is already pretty noisy in the shadow and cannot be saved with noise reduction in post. And also we can see some weird flickering on the GoPro 12 in the shadow part. Underexposed 3 stop, Mission 1 Pro still looks pretty good. Underexposed 4 stop, still pretty good. Underexposed 5 stop, finally, the Mission 1 Pro start to have some weird artifact, and also the shadow part on the Mission 1 Pro will shift towards magenta. Next test, we set both of the camera to maximum resolution. Underexposed 5 stop, both of them are totally unusable. Underexposed 4 stop, still unusable. Underexposed 3 stop, still unusable. Underexposed 2 stop, still unusable. Underexposed 1 stop, if you add heavy noise reduction in post, both of the camera will look okay. So this is normal exposure. Overexposed 1 1 stop, the GoPro 12 highlight is already clipping. Overexposed 2 stop, the Mission 1 Pro start to clip the highlight. This is overexposed 3 stop just for fun. This video is made because of your support, so if you think this video is useful so far, press the like button to let this video reach more people. Next, low light test, aka ISO test. Using maximum resolution on both of the cameras, shooting 30 frames per second using GPLog and GPLog2. At ISO 400, the GoPro 12 is already pretty noisy in the shadow part, and you can clean it up with some simple noise reduction in post. But at ISO 800, the shadow on the GoPro 12 is totally messed up. ISO 1600, the Mission 1 Pro also need heavy noise reduction to be usable in the shadow part. ISO 3200 on Mission 1 Pro is totally unusable. Next, you will see some dramatic change in the image quality. Only change will be 8K, we'd set it down to 4K. And suddenly, ISO 3200 is kind of usable with heavy noise reduction in post. ISO 1600, the Mission 1 Pro don't even need to add noise reduction in post. At ISO 800, finally, GoPro 12, we can add heavy noise reduction to make the shadow information usable. Hybrid low gamma low light test 4K 30 frames per second on the Mission 1 Pro. We can keep pushing the ISO until 3200. At ISO 3200, we just need to slightly add some noise reduction in post to have a usable image. At 8K 30 frames per second ISO 3200, the shadow part will have some magenta color shift. At ISO 1600, we just add simple noise reduction in post to have a usable image. Next test, flat color profile with maximum resolution on both camera. At ISO 800 GoPro 12, we need to add a little bit noise reduction in post to have an okay image. At 1600 GoPro 12, need to add heavy noise reduction in post to have a usable image. And also the GoPro 12 shadow part is slightly shift towards magenta. At ISO 3200, the Mission 1 Pro also needs some noise reduction in post to have a usable image. ISO 6400 on both of the camera looks horrible. Next, we change the resolution down to 4K 30 frames per second. At ISO 6400, we just need to add a little bit noise reduction in post to have a usable image on the Mission 1 Pro. This is really impressive. At 3200, we don't even need to add noise reduction on the Mission 1 Pro. At 1600, finally, we have usable image on the GoPro 12 with some heavy noise reduction. Next, the lens flare test. Without the hoods, both of the camera have beautiful lens flare, but with the included hood on the Mission 1 Pro, we have slightly better control if there is a very bright light source out of the frame shooting directly into the lens. Both of the camera basically have the same lens flare characteristic. So if you don't have any problem with the old 11, 12, 13 GoPro, I don't think you will have any problem without the lens hood. The max dynamic range settings will be 4K GPLog2 on the Mission 1 Pro and a 4K normal flat color profile on the old GoPro 11, 12, 13. And because most information are captured inside the shadow area, lower the exposure value to -1 or -1.5 to preserve all the highlight details and boost the shadow in post will have the most dynamic range. And the max ISO settings, I will set 3200 on the Mission 1 Pro and ISO 800 on the GoPro 11, 12, and 13. This is the fast charging time lapse from 0 to 100%. So basically 25 minutes of fast charge and 30 minutes of slow charge to go up to 100%. Before the real world footage, I hope I can send you guys all the raw video files for you to try it out, but right now we're limited by the budget. We cannot host it on the cloud because it's terabyte of footage. I also cannot host it locally because terabytes of footage. So if you want to support our future project just like this video, maybe you can send some donation directly. I don't know. This will make these kind of video more sustainable. Thanks. Next, we're going to share with you guys some real world footage over here. If you are shooting in low light environment, just shoot 4K on all the GoPro cameras. Because if you are shooting 4K, the camera is doing some kind of pixel merging. If you shoot max resolution on both of the camera, it's more like a no processing native image raw noise pattern. So the image will look really noisy without any noise reduction. Real world footage time. So we're going to test the low light mode. So right now, all the camera are in flat color profile 4K 30, and also I just put the smartphone image in here just for fun. So you can see Mission 1 Pro is actually really good in low light even without activating the low light mode. In this area, it's really dark. I really can't see anything with my eyeballs. So in real world, the GoPro 12 is basically what my eyeballs sees, but the Mission 1 Pro is kind of impressive. You can capture the information your eyeballs can't even see. In this area, it's really challenging for cameras to capture all the shadow details and the highlight. The GoPro 12 already have some weird magenta color shift in the shadow part. The Mission 1 Pro just looks so much better. Next, we'll just turn on the low light mode on the Mission 1 Pro. So basically, low light mode is using crazy high ISO paired with crazy high noise reduction. Wipe out all the noise and also wipe out all the details, just like the Insta360 cameras and also the DJI cameras. In this area, low light mode looks so good on the Mission 1 Pro. Although we lose so much details, but the GoPro 12, the shadow is clipping and the shadow information is mixed with magenta color shift and a horrible noise pattern. You can't even fix it with noise reduction. In this area, I just want to test out the 8K 30 frames per second on the Mission 1 Pro. In this area, we just maxed out both camera resolution. Walk into almost pitch black environment. The Mission 1 Pro is still kind of usable. The GoPro 12 is totally covered with crazy noise. In this area, we tuned down both of the camera to 4K 30. Both of them looks way better than the max resolution. This is the static shot at 4K 30 frames per second. Next, about the shutter speed I just mentioned in the GoPro lab settings. The EXPT2 should be 90-degree shutter angle, but the Mission 1 Pro settings is kind of broken. It will go as low as 1/50th of a second, and if I set the motion blur to max blur reduction, it only go as low as 1/100th of a second. We also have the shutter speed range settings, but if we use the shutter speed range settings, we can't even control the exposure value, so it's not working for me. So right now, I only can use the max blur reduction inside this Mission 1 camera. Hope they can fix the EXPT settings in the next GoPro Labs firmware, because right now, everything just looks blurry. Next, in low light environment, this is without any low light special mode. It's just pure 4K 30 frames per second. It looks really good on the Mission 1 Pro. But after we turn on low light mode on the Mission 1 Pro, the noise reduction just totally destroyed the image. All the details are gone, everything are just blurry mess. So I would recommend use low light mode if you really need to, because shooting 4K 30 will capture more information in your precious memory. Next, overheating problem, I don't think it's a problem anymore. It's really hard to overheat the Mission 1 Pro. Both of the camera, the hotspot will be around the camera lens module and also the bottom mounting position. Next, I must show you some crazy slow motion footage captured with this camera, because it's ultra wide angle and paired with 10 seconds buffer. It's really easy to capture those stunning, interesting slow motion footage. I can't wait to try the iOS version of the Mission 1 Pro. Just because of the slow motion capabilities, it's just totally worth the money. The image out of the Mission 1 Pro definitely outperformed the older GoPro generations. Before you buy the Mission 1 series cameras, I think you gotta have slightly different expectations compared to the older generation. Older generation, we can call it an action camera, but this one, I don't think we can call it an action camera. It's more like a wide angle, professional, small camera. Because of the weight is so much heavier than the older generation, if you want to mount this camera on your body, like chest mount, shoulder mount, a neck mount, head mount, or put it on your helmet, put it on your body will definitely have some impact. Because if you turn it around like this, put it on your helmet, turn it around like this, you will notice the weight difference. If you really enjoy using ultra wide angle lens, Mission 1 Pro is definitely worth it. But if you are trying to zoom in like 3 times, 5 times zoom, hey, maybe you should consider to buy a point and shoot camera instead.